Hello?
Hello. We can hear
Everybody
you.
hear us? This looks like they can.
Start event. Okay, let's start it then.
It's because it streams. See the. Anyway, just
Okay. Uh, you missed it, but everyone was wished a happy Canada Day for yesterday. Team, how did you spend your Canada Day?
well, my son's a Canada Day baby, so his birthday's on Canada Day. So, gonna ruin Canada Day for me forever. Um, but we actually took him out
Surely
to
it
his
makes
new
Canada Day
job.
better for you forever.
Yeah, no, it's more subtractive than additive. And we took him out to his new job. He's going to be a farmhand for the summer. Yeah, so he's we took him out. He's living at a farm for 3 nights a week. We drove him out there last night, and that's about 90 minutes from the city. He's looking forward to it. There's chickens, there's rabbits, there's all sorts of stuff out there. It's yeah. They're a rabbit meat farm, elk farm, kind of like a Nightingale. Yeah.
Okay, great. What about the rest? Anyone else? Any
It's
highlights?
it's just
Do
the
you eat
fireworks.
poutine? Just fireworks.
Fireworks.
Fireworks, spray park.
Okay. So, well, we'll kick off. Everyone's sort of like piling in. We're up to about 70 people. So for folks who's new to our dev Q&As, how we do it is we had a forum open for a few days, and we gather questions from that. I also take questions from the live chat. And yeah, members of the team will answer them as we go along. So we'll also have people like Steph monitoring the live chat who'll be able to reply to people on questions that we don't get round to, and then I'll stick around a little bit at the end as well to answer any other stuff. But we've got roughly an hour. We'll go on till 6 p.m. my time, I guess 11 a.m. your time there in Edmonton, I believe.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll get cracking. So actually, team, I don't know, do you want to introduce yourselves first before we get going?
Sure.
Bjorn Taylor.
Aaryn Flynn, CEO at Inflexion.
Leah Summer, director of production.
There you go. And I'm Scarbs, head of comms. You may know me. Okay, we'll just jump back in. So we got a question from Apothetic. I said it wrong. We were talking about this before you joined. I knew I'd forget. Is there an update on photo mode since it was talked about in the past Q&A?
We don't have anything for photo mode yet. We haven't prioritized it because you can remove the UI with F3, and then you've got a beautiful screen there to take any screenshot you want. That's how we do it internally. We drop the. I have people. I think even the publishing team does the same when you. Yeah, so that's what we have for now. A photo mode that we'd love to do probably have different filters and such like that in it too. But yeah, for now, just drop the UI with F3 and print screen.
Like your NPC.
Oh yeah,
you
good one.
leave
Yeah,
them in a
yeah.
place.
Good
That's
point.
why they
Yeah.
got that one.
Yeah, that's a good
I'm going to sort of start with, go into a sort of big picture question that Kaz sent in. He asked, "What is your design vision for the game, and do you feel that you're meeting that currently?"
Yeah, okay. Okay, well, I'll start maybe, and then I should that one. So I think the design vision for the game is really around the idea of adventure, and we want our players to be able to travel to these really amazing realms that have all sorts of cool things in the history, discover, to uncover. danger and stuff, all that such. And then really have a great time, whether solo or with their friends, as they go on adventures that are. We've talked about this in the past, where adventure really is here, and everything else is in service of that. So the cards that you play, you're gonna go, you don't know, so, right? That's part of the adventure. When you see a POI in the distance, what's in that? No, it's part of the adventure. That's kind of how I see it. Anyone else want to take a stab at that?
Yeah, like so I agree with all of that. I would say another part of it. Another part of that that I would add is building your home out in between your adventures. Got like a lot of tile sets, so forcing your story and yeah, like I right direction, like
Jeff is sorry.
sorry,
We're gonna
my
watch you
voice
do
doesn't
that.
link to
Yeah,
the device very well.
We're seeing, the audio is cutting in and out a little bit. So we're, we'll fix that. I assume my audio is fine because I'm not in the
Sounds
same
it,
room.
yeah. If we lean into the microphone, is it better? Is there any dropping as I do that?
Yeah, it's better when you do that.
Okay. So we'll just
Oh,
lean
yeah,
forward.
That's fine. Lean in.
Yeah, I think Neil was the worst offender because he's the furthest away
On that guy.
and very softly spoken to.
Okay, so we'll do
Okay.
that. Anyone else any
Uh,
thoughts on the adventure or on the vision for the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're through all of our updates, we've kind of been constantly pushing what we want in terms of bringing more to the adventure, making sure that pulls or ways to adventure with our grappling hook and all of that kind of arms or perks or spells, all of those things that add to the adventures. So, have we achieved our vision there yet? Yet the pickles, no, because we're in early access and we're excited to just bring more into the game that really heightens and elevates that experience. I think we saw a community post with some really great ideas for new minor cards. Like those are the things that we absolutely want to see come in and just get to hear about the adventures that you have with your friends and what you're digging and what you want to see more of. So I think that we'll continue to push in those directions. Fundamentally, with the core loop, I don't think there's any massively changing there. So hopefully, this is the Nightingale that you love, and I'm excited to bring new things in. Certainly, new story elements, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, the grappling, the pickles are a blast. I'm glad everyone's loving that. Just new ways to adventure, right?
Everyone's loving the pickle. And someone else asked on a sort of similar sort of tone or theme, and then I'll move on to more gameplay specific questions. Was what's our sort of plans, or at least our sort of hope with bringing back players who have left, who've maybe played like 100 hours or 50 hours or 200 hours and sort of lapsed off. Like what do we think is going to bring them back in the future? And also probably engage new players too.
Oh, well, certainly, feeding into the idea of adventures is more adventures, right? So more realms to go to, different realms that are currently available. It's been a while to get our feet under us after several years of development and really learn what everybody and not liking. And so we first and foremost wanted to address what wasn't working, and then from there, now very soon we're building out new content. Some teams are in the studio right now are building out new content right now. And it's my hope, and I think everybody's hope, that will bring some players back to keep enjoying the adventuring in the realm.
Yeah, like
Great.
yeah, like case by case, like it depends on why people left, but if they're a few like 100 hours in, imagine that they were having fun. So yeah, we'll bring in more stuff and like things like offline mode as well. Like that was brought back in some people who best that we didn't have like offline mode.
The audio is still a little flickery. A little. It's a little bit better.
I feel like
It's probably me.
I feel like Bjorn's voice is too low.
Yeah.
I feel like he's.
It's quite possible. I've noticed it a couple of times in the chat. There's been a question around a colorblind mode in the future. Given the game is very vibrant, is there any plans for that in the future?
Yeah, we're still looking into that to see what the best approach to do it is, but it's definitely on the radar. Yeah.
Cool. And so, yeah, we'll sort of go into content updates and questions of that nature. People are a question from Coyote Stark, I believe it was. Are you working on any more story, expanding that, and sort of what is that looking like?
Is there more story? Yeah, definitely. There's a lot more story. There's hopefully some new stories coming soon, as the team works very hard on all that. But yeah, new stories for sure. New NPCs, new characters, new things to go to, new places to visit. All part of the new stuff that it's being worked on right now.
Great. And I'm going to rattle off some very, I think, like easy to answer questions. Any plans for new fabled creatures soon?
Yep.
These are going to be like, yep.
Probably, maybe just to take a step back and set the stage. The teams, almost all the developers right now, are working very hard on the next update, and a lot of this is intended to come in the next update. So there's some again, continued evolution of the overall progression and overall mechanics of the game, and then there's a lot more new content coming in there as well.
Yeah, and that actually feeds into something we keep getting asked a lot, both in these Q&As and on our forums and on socials, is about the build limits and them expanding. And we have spoken in the past that our plans are to expand those. As we're in this live Q&A environment, from you folks, is there anything you want to add to that in terms of how that work is going and sort of what our intention is with expanding the update?
Yeah, Bjorn's got a meeting about that tomorrow. I saw on your calendar. So, but it is the focus of several of our engineers who are tearing the whole system down and rebuilding it all back up with an emphasis to get build limits much higher. And so fingers crossed that we get there in the next not too distant future.
Yeah, it's been pretty important as well because we also would like to put more structures into some of the realms, which.
I know.
We're
it's so
working
funny.
on it.
You should mention that, Neil.
I'll be giving that.
Well, he said it. Like, I mean, those are the ones. Those are the ones you guys talk about, right?
Plus, there's that art book being released.
New type of biomes.
The new biome.
Yeah,
Snow, lava,
Snow, lava,
jungle.
and jungle are the ones that come up internally as well
Yeah.
to talk about.
Interesting. A question from A. Hansen. Any plans for human enemies in the future?
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, like bandits in the realms and so forth. I think that would be a really interesting direction. Yeah, we certainly talked about it. So stay tuned.
And then any plans on adding, lots of these things ask any plans. I'll figure out some different ways to present those questions so I'm not too repetitive. But adding more melee weapons like swords and shields, I think that's probably tying to stuff that's familiar in other survival games.
Yeah, the like both of those have definitely come up specifically in conversations. No specific timelines, but like offhands especially. We'd like to make some more of those because there's just less offhand.
Tease something, Bjorn. Tease something that's in the works. I know there's something. I was playing with it the other day. You know, we can tease some stuff. I don't think people will mind.
All right, yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Give them nothing.
Well, I know one of the ones that
You're
we're
nothing.
looking at is neither of those actually. The bow that we're working on, which yeah, we're excited for. It's being quiet, a little bit different gameplay.
I like the make
There we
bound human.
There we
again.
go.
Yeah.
Should be a t-shirt.
We got to give people something for turning up to these Q&As. You know, just a little bit of an exclusive goes a long way.
Oh yeah,
There we
no,
go.
I
So look-
get the gun thing. Like
And the
Yeah,
chat
like
goes
some.
wild.
I prefer Magic personally, but
Well, there's a good question on that. Someone asked if there going to be an expansion to the magic enchantments that you can put on weapons. The new ones that are
Forever.
in the pipeline. Yeah.
no, there's some really cool like enchantments coming down the road. Actually, yeah, like they just couldn't make this last release, but there should be some new ones in the next one.
Cool. Yeah, and a bigger question, I guess, on sort of game structure and where it's going to go in the future. Guema, I want to say Guema, asks, says that they love the end game and the MMO-like aspect to it. Will there be new features that sort of feed into that part of the game? You know, and I'm talk about sort of late game stuff like the Ascended Realms and vaults and activities around the Watch.
Not immediately. We are, like as Aaryn mentioned before, like we've been getting like our feet under us, like for the main game, which is like that has been our focus, like for like the last while. As we are moving into the future, we will continue expanding like the tail of the game for sure, but not in the short term, unless you count like tile sets and things like that for building like towns. But
I guess that counts to some degree, and I can feed that into a question about tile sets. One of the first questions we got was, when are we going to get triangle pieces for building, which isn't quite a tile set, but it's along those lines. Curved building pieces.
Well, the first
stuff.
goal
That's
is
just
to get the structure caps increased, and then once we get that done, then it'll be much easier to provide new exotic pieces.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of improvements that we've sort of paused as we are fixing, because as we mentioned before, like it's a pretty major overhaul to the system to be able to get the structure limits up. So we didn't want to add more stuff while they are trying to update it.
I see someone's asking about a glass tile set there. We are actually working on one. It's almost...
Oh, there you go. I didn't even know that. I'm learning something from this Q&A. That's amazing. There we go. And lots of questions about pets are coming into chat. Realm Walker 113, Stride, and some others. Yeah, pets. When are they expected? I think we got that last time too. Pets are work in progress. But yeah, any additional notes on that, team?
Nothing specific. We should make some more pets though.
Yeah, let them do more things too.
Yep.
They come with you on adventures and stuff.
I think you already cut out at the start of that.
We should do more pets.
Yeah, do more pets.
Yeah, we agree. Pets are great. We love pets. We even have pets at the office. It's great.
Yeah. We've had a few additional thoughts on biomes. People asking if are there any plans for like a... Oh, see, I said it again. Any plans for a chaos realm controlled fully by the bound? And I saw a few different questions around the idea of more abstract or fantastical realms that biome ideas that might be in the works.
Yeah,
What's the team's position on that?
Yeah, we've talked about that. There are some interesting developments in that area coming up. So I won't say more than that because I'll get into trouble.
No, say it.
Go for it.
All right, we're doing it.
Okay. You guys need to vamp more while I'm trying to find questions that are thematically linked to one another.
I mean, we can see a few here too. Like one
Yeah.
question: how come you're not taking advantage of the modding community? Yeah, we'd love to. I think once we get this next update out, I think the modding community would be our next target, and so we'll get this next update out. That will solidify a few things, and then from there, I think we'll be able to engage the modding community more directly and figure out how we learn from them as to what they need, and then start to give them that.
Yeah, that's great, and actually, that's been coming up a bit in the forums recently as well. So it's good. Yeah, I'm sure people appreciate an answer on that. So someone asked, will there be POIs based on gathering, crafting activities? So as you venture out into the Feywild, you find places where humanity has put down roots and tried to gather and build and create using resources around them. So like, we've got things in the game like derricks, sawmills, airship workshops and stuff like that. So yeah, we have defensive POIs already, but is there stuff where, we help to sort of build that stuff or do thematically relevant stuff to those POIs that will unlock new treasure? And that was from Buffett.
Yeah, if I'm understanding correctly, I mean, we're working on some realm ideas now that are much more strongly themed around the POIs and the scenery within it, so that the encounters and the POIs are more inextricably linked. So that, yeah, if I'm understanding that question correctly, yeah, we'll absolutely be. You'll see more content that's more relevant to that kind of pursuit coming soon.
Okay, great.
Am I soft spoken? I thought
Yeah.
my voice like a foghorn.
Yeah, you got to talk up a bit, Neil. Yeah.
Just quiet. Is that
No,
better?
you're not as pinched and nasally as I am, and that's what really projects.
Yeah. English over Canadian.
So, someone else, will we see permissions for our abeyance? We'll be able to set permissions for our abeyance realms. People are like, I'd like to set my abeyance realm public, but I don't necessarily want to give other players who would get access to the realm access to their chests and, have the ability to destroy their property and whatnot. So with their,
How come you want your
would there be
abeyance
any
realm to
plans
be
for that in the
public?
future? What's that, sorry?
How come you want your abeyance realm to be public?
Well, I don't know if they're in the chat to answer that, but
secret.
That was from Che.
Yeah, like you're always free to invite whoever. Like,
Yeah, but the point is, then they don't want the stealing crap, so they want a middle ground where someone can be a phantom and come in and look around, but then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Have strangers just come in and out, basically.
The animal.
Kaz just wants to trap people and cage them in a maze of inescapable builds. So there's that option.
So funny
Just to
enough,
torment.
early in the project, we did have that. We had a developer who loved to build mazes outside of portals and trap you because you'd always spawn in the same spot and trap you in the maze. It was really fun and yeah, definitely caused no issues at all. We had a ton of fun doing it.
Yeah, it's a good point someone's making. It's people want to show off their amazing base building, especially as we expand, the numbers there, the number of build pieces, and people build more elaborate stuff. They want to just have anyone be able to come in and see them.
Yes, and to those in chat talking about blowing up your house with weapons, we are going to fix that in our next update. It is on the docket. Your weapons will not be so terrible to your house anymore.
Yeah, like they'll be balanced for the tier of the buildings. That was an oversight actually. We had balanced it for defense encounters, which are the same system. Then it's scaled with the level. Meanwhile, forgetting that like your starting realm was extremely low level, so all your buildings were very brittle compared to your end game stuff. So yes, we are adjusting how we do the health on buildings.
Bjorn, you need to face the mic, I think, a bit more because you cut in and out during that. Yeah. Bjorn's every other word. So yeah.
I think it's just Bjorn's low voice.
The microphone.
Yeah, it's that too.
No, it doesn't have the.
We'll get you all lapel mics next time.
40 hertz.
On the camera question, we'll look into removing those labels. I do know that one's in our list of things to do, so that you can get rid of the player and the NPC names above their heads when you go into take off the UI.
We should be able to fix that. I don't know why that's happening. The rest of the
Phylon's just asked, with that in mind, that you can't destroy your own structure, is the concept of raids attacking your bases still on the table?
Raids attacking your abeyance, you said?
The base, I think.
Oh, base.
Yeah, so just having your base, your abeyance, yeah.
So the struggle we have there
I know,
is
I
we
think
really get mixed messages on that one. So we get some people who say, "Oh, I'd love that, and I can't wait to defend my base from raiders or bound or creatures, or it might be." And then we have another group who, get quite upset and frightened when that threat is there, and they really don't like that, and they say that no, my base is sacred to me in a very safe space, and the thought of it being under threat is really really scary to me. And so whatever we do, you'd need some sort of opt-in system to do that, right? And Katara, you pointed out attacking a player-built base. Yeah, that's out in the realm, right? Not in the abeyance. So you could do that. You could build something anywhere, use it as a fort, and then have creatures attack it now or bound attack it. It's really the specific question of your home base, your respite point. Is that the one that can be attacked and can be this? And right now it can't be really. The estate cairn creates a bubble around it that prevents that. And so we need some sort of way to have an opt-in. And obviously with an opt-in then comes the question of what's the reward, what's the value of it. And then from there it becomes, well, how come that person gets that reward for defending their base? Well, I want that reward for my own thing, for doing a different thing. And so we got to figure out how to balance all that stuff. So there's a little look into the conversations that happen when those sorts of topics come up.
Thanks. So we've had, again, this keeps coming up in chat a few times, and we've answered this in previous Q&As. But people are obviously very interested in it and very excited about the idea of it, of having mounts or being able to ride animals or any other kind of vehicles. So yeah, where do we stand on that?
What's really holding us back from doing that?
There's a couple of tech things. It's definitely on our long-term roadmap as something that we want, something that I want. Yeah, like there's a few tech things that'll happen sort of in order to do it. But yeah, like we all want to have mounts as well, like mounts, guns, vehicles. Like it's all kind of the same thing, like on the tech side. So like as we are moving towards that, yeah, like even just like two creatures interacting with each other, like synced animations. Like I want to pet the dog, like, which is similar.
Game's not steampunk.
Gas lamp. The magic versus science.
Get angry, you know. Just storm off.
Technotor asked if there is a roadmap for 2024 to 2025. We obviously put out our developer priorities, which we're doing every couple of months, where we update them and just write out what our current focus is. But for the team in the room, I guess just a little insight from a developer perspective, like what how we plan things out in advance.
Yeah, so we try and make sure that we're paying attention to, the feedback that we're seeing from the community, any important bugs coming in. We typically move those things to the front of the queue when we're planning. And then we do have, as we've talked about mounts and we've talked about creative mode, and we sort of have all of those things roughed in on our roadmap lists. And then really it just comes down to, how did everyone like the last update? Where do we need to shuffle priorities? What makes the most sense to pull forward? So yeah, that's, there's not anything I would say too special about it, just because, we're so committed to working with you all to make sure that, you love Nightingale, and it's really the game that we want to bring to players. And poor Neil and his steampunk he's just reading the comments, I can see.
It's like a dagger to my black heart.
Oh, Neil has a few things around the office. Learnings and steampunk are the ones that'll get Neil going. So just in case you needed some help with that.
Someone likes the Peeps box though.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad you like the Peeps box. that was a favorite internally of ours.
Did anybody get the reference to the name Peeps?
I assume everybody did.
Mm.
Did
Yeah.
anybody?
No.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, that's what I thought.
And in terms of do we get a roadmap, we don't really want to put out. I'm sorry, I'm answering on behalf. We've kind of avoided putting out like a huge roadmap with a year's worth of stuff on it, rather than just do these incremental developer priority lists that we publish, which give people an idea of the more immediate focuses and content that's coming, which we think is a better representation of the studio's goals from essentially like 2 to 3 months at a time. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what people are talking about. Marshmallow chickens. There's all sorts of stuff happening. So Kaz asked about whether we're currently happy with the current combat difficulty level that the game presents players, and I guess as a follow-up to that, where do we want to see it go, or what's our sort of designs for how combat difficulty will expand?
An interesting question. So we have like several difficulties for the game. I think probably some of them are more like balanced than others in terms of like the player expectation. The tricky part as well is the NPCs are generally a confounding variable when we're trying to figure these out. Like they are meant to kind of take the place of like having like other players with you, and now they can use guns, which has made them better. Like we've got a whole bunch of balance coming through for that. We are always still working like to improve areas like combat, but like when you're asking about combat difficulty, because we're not static difficulty like some action games are. Like you're always free as a player, like on your next realm, to spin up to just turn it up or down, depending on your personal preference.
You've got a few final tweaks to difficulty coming in the next update.
Yeah, like it's one that we keep adjusting because yeah, like the one thing that we sort of like observed early on is that there's like the groups of people who play like survival games or RPGs or like sandbox games, like they're quite different. Some of the cohorts of how difficult they want their game to be, which is what the difficulty systems are meant to try and address, like the different settings. So yeah, like still tweaking all of them to try and appeal to those groups.
See, I see Kay did the appropriate thing and Googled Peeps and got the right answer.
Now it's in your head too.
But it's more specific than just his work with the Navy. It's more specific reference.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just intrigued by these marshmallow chickens that people are telling me about. They sound amazing. Okay. So, TriCast earlier on, is there any more information on the factions? There is some confusion as to what exactly different factions are, and obviously there's not a huge amount of information on it in the game either. Some suggest that the company and the NTTC are the same. They're asking for a definitive list and something about each one. And are the 40 elephants a faction too? ? There's a bunch of stuff there, but more info on factions, basically.
Yeah, if someone wrote a faction, a gang, they were a gang in Nightingale called the 40 Elephants.
Oh.
I remember reading the lore like 5 years ago. Does that even how did that person know that? Is that out somewhere? Where's that? Where's the reference to the 40 elephants? Somewhere. That must be a Codex entry, yeah.
Is it part of like the song?
Strike is in here, so they can answer.
Oh, it's mentioned in the game. Cool. Even I don't know that.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that either. The company and the NTTC are the same. NTTC stands for Northern Transept Trading Company.
Yeah.
Yeah, the journal entries. Yeah, I was like, I feel like that was in one of them.
I'm definitely loud. It's going to be me. I'm projecting my voice. I apologize. Okay, I'll try not to do it so much. Therium asked, in the future, would it be possible that realm cards are impacted by crafting? Obviously, there are various ways of modifying realms with minor and major cards, and it's mainly the realm power that defines the resources and mobs found. But can cards be modified by crafting, like weapons and clothing, which will create sort of different ideas for progression and end game stuff?
So
It's more of an idea than a
probably-
question, I guess.
Yeah, probably not for the cards, but we would do more variants of different types of cards, and we'd like to expand that system, like in general. But in terms of the, so we call it parametric crafting, like what you're describing with the tools and the clothing. The issue is that it gets weird stacking rules because like the items don't like to group, and it can get confusing to like tell players exactly what they're doing. For ones like that are, especially when they're like different effects, it's easier to make variants of the cards, like on our end.
Cool. I'm going to do some quick fire questions that I think you can answer pretty quickly. Sniper scope upgrade to rifle. Can rifles have scopes in the future? Yes or no?
Probably yes.
Yeah, what's holding that back,
Okay.
Bjorn?
I think we just haven't made one with it. Like, there's no reason that we couldn't. We have a spyglass and we have various rifles. But the next one up is.
So I've seen that prototype.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing in 15 minutes, Bjorn?
Yeah. Like it's definitely. Like, I have seen that prototype as well. I suspect the next time we do a rifle, will probably be something along that lines because, like, yeah, it'd be really nice to have. But yeah, the bow is the next one, and I forget the next one after that. But yeah, always more stuff coming down the pipe for like tools and firearms.
Combine spyglass to rifle. There you go. That's how you do it. Possible for buildings to have weathering and flora overgrowth? Question mark.
Player built buildings, you mean, or because we have
Yeah. Player buildings.
possibly. I'm not going to say definitively yes or no because there's probably a technical reason why we don't do it already. But
Do you want to control it, or do you want it just to happen?
My spreadsheet doesn't talk back to me, unfortunately. But if Ceratus Orbis is in chat, then they can answer. But I don't think they are.
yeah, the
no
challenge with
response.
doing it as just a tile set wall piece with vines on it is that if it's just decorative, then it's going to look weird in certain permutations of when you build with them. You can't possibly make it. It would have to be an extra thing over the top.
And
Otherwise, it won't connect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wooden wrap.
weapon color customization is a question we've got a few times in my spreadsheet here.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely
What do we
something
think?
we're working on.
Yeah, customization is being worked on right now.
Yeah. Like we have the one that I'm sure people are aware of where depending on the resources, like you'll get different like materials and like colors like on your items. But yeah, expanding that system to give more player agency.
And merging biome cards in the future. That was a question that came up. I thought that was quite interesting.
Oh, like the
No, that's
forest
not.
slash.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. It creates too much. It's too much of a performance challenge because we stack everything pretty full when you do a single biome. So adding another biome, so you've effectively got two biomes with the content in one. Yeah, we won't be doing that. But we will just be expanding what we can do with new biomes and also new vaults and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can't fill the hopper and then fill it twice over.
There we go. Would there be potential for adding more dangerous law-based creatures that make any player of any level panic possible in the far future, separate from the raiding idea, just to add a bit of tension when exploring the dangerous realms.
Oh,
That's
that's
from Rubber
the
Duck.
Fae.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Fae.
There you go. Want to elaborate on that some more?
Well, we've kind of talked in there's lore references to Fey elders and Fey nobility and Fey soldiers, all of which would be extraordinarily powerful. I mean, the Fey elders, who knows how powerful those guys are? Pretty damn powerful, I would say.
It's all relative, man.
Own land.
Sylvanus, my gosh, is asking when we can expect the snow biomes. I don't think we've ever confirmed any snow biomes, have we? Did we confirm that? I'm not sure,
It's
but
been
you know,
prototyped.
I'm sure we do.
It's been prototyped. Yeah, I think once we get this next update out, I think that will fix a few things in our overall engine, and then I think from there it'll be easier for us to bring out new biomes.
Great. So I'm just looking through the list here. Related to Pickles, can we unlock weapon switch when gliding so I can switch from umbrella to pickle mid-glide? That would be fantastic. I agree with that. I thought the same thing when I was playing it the other day.
Sorry, to just like
So
you would
can
fall,
glide straight into.
but you would
Yeah,
you
it's
would fall.
it's
Like
like
you
a
do that now.
quick
You
switch.
can do it. I think
You would just cancel and change weapons. So I'm not understanding. Like, do you want to be able to like shoot while you're gliding? Is that what you're asking, or you just want to switch weapons?
They're in the chat so they can specify. I want to grapple while
Oh, I
gliding.
Sliding to
So yeah,
gliding.
umbrella.
It's gotta be quick.
You can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can fast.
Like Batman
Gotta be
does.
quick. Like,
Yeah, I'm not gonna do
like
that.
when you're doing like the gliding, I don't know if it still works, but yeah, like because that way you can get a dodge, you glide, you dodge and glide, but you just gotta keep like rapidly turning on and off glide and things.
Well, we're gonna watch you do it then.
Yeah, it's great.
There you go. Just keep good.
Yeah, exactly. The design advice. Yeah.
Okay. With each story, project, or dream, there is always an end game with everything and how far you would like it to go. What would that be for Nightingale? That's from Rubber Duck.
Like when is it over?
Yeah, but what's like the end vision of it? Like when Nightingale is quote unquote finished, what is the vision of what that complete experience looks like?
Well, I don't think it finishes. The vision has always been that once Nightingale City is reached, there's a whole raft of there's a portal network that exists within Nightingale City that opens up the adventure to new nests of realms. So that's the ultimate vision for this. So that the watch is just a stepping stone to the pursuit of Nightingale. And once Nightingale is found, that's a stepping stone to more adventures into a new portal network, and then who knows where it goes from there. Did other cities survive the Pale? That's always been the fascinating idea that we've thrown around here.
There we go.
Yes, the adventure never ends.
Like at some point, early access will end, right? But
Yeah.
the like for the game ending, hopefully never.
Babash, how do you mean a public meeting place?
We already have one with the watch.
Yeah, that's the watch.
Right.
Yeah. Unless you mean something different.
Have you got to the watch yet? They might not be at the watch. Maybe that's a big surprise waiting for them in the future of their game, which we've just spoiled now. So sorry.
Does everyone know that the watch is called the watch because it's the collective term for Nightingale, a group of nightingales?
I didn't. No, I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that.
It's like
Gosh.
really fast.
Hey, I'll just throw these things.
I just saw Qataris out there. Your public realms can't be built, and we should just let people. That's so. Why do we do
Yeah,
that?
well,
You
That's
can
the-
build there, you just can't get back to them right now. Like that's the issue. But
Um,
you kind of
I,
can
I
with
see.
the Tetris card.
Babs is saying that it's just people running around. It's not really meeting. So I think having more social functionality
Oh,
within
I
the
see.
watch
Oh.
maybe is the sort of, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
What that question's
We
getting at.
do more of that for sure.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm
a
just looking
pub,
through
yeah.
questions. We've covered a lot.
There is. I can talk about.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
If people have been following some of the stuff we talked about, Nightingale City exists as an asset in some form, and one of the first things we put in there was a pub that was kind of where we as players used to meet before we went through the portal. This is in the early days of Nightingale's development, and we had a single portal in the Calcularium, which is the Calcularia faction. But there was a pub called the Mortgag, and it's called the Mortgag because when we started Inflexion Games, the office that we now have started life as a mortgage company, and the only thing that remained was Mortgag written on the wall in the letters. So that we have a meeting room called Mortgag. The pub in Nightingale City is called Mortgag. The letters from the wall still hang around the studio.
Yeah.
I had no idea that's why it was called that. That's hilarious.
I'm just a fountain
There we go.
of pointless trivia for Nightingale.
Well, yeah, evidently. I'm learning something today, learning lots. So we got another question on building stuff, on functionality. We had this last time, and again, I expect the answer will be the same. Being asked about having a building feature where you can replace walls with another wall without demolishing it first. So there's less risk about destroying the structure. So it's essentially upgrading your building without having to demolish it each time.
It's come up in conversation, but like there was an earlier question that was similar. We're concentrating on the build limits before we make further changes to the system. But maybe. Like, I like that feature in other games, so yeah.
Yeah, we kind of had that one. Oh, someone was asking, and also similarly, we talked about invisible structure pieces, and someone has asked if there's, because I think we talked about it last time, and not everyone there within the group kind of understood what it was. And I think I showed you, Aaryn, when I was at the studio last, how it worked in V Rising. And yeah, has there been any other thought on that, or like at least something that we think would be cool to add in the future?
Yeah, it's all coming. The big step number one is the structure refactor. So everything that will allow more structures in the worlds, in the realms. Then from there, we can build it out correctly. And so we have not been building too much out right now in terms of new functionality, while we strip it all back and get it to be as more robust than it currently is.
Katari asked, are there any plans for... Oh, sorry, Leah. I was talking over you.
The seeds from inventory, that's a good idea. That makes a lot of sense based on the other crafting from storage and whatnot that we've added. So yeah, we'll make a note of that one and go double check it.
Molly Bear, are you saying plant them just in a planter box? Okay, cool.
Yeah, like build from storage, plant from storage.
Yeah. Any plans for some sort of irrigation or other watering system for crops? That came from Katari.
Like besides rain, we haven't. That's
legitimate.
So we have like the watering cans and like the rain barrels. We haven't talked specifically about that. We would like to expand like farming in the future, and like some of the features that have that. Like I wouldn't mind doing like things like what do you call those things? Like the aqueduct type stuff. Like could be fun. But yeah, we haven't talked a lot about that stuff specifically.
And get the NPCs to use the watering cans.
Oh,
that
for
was
sure.
On the list.
Yeah, like the NPCs, like ultimately we want them to be able to use anything that the player can use. We're not quite there yet, but they can use most of the things now. My favorite recent addition was the guns. So they can just be fire support. It's amazing.
If you like
Thinking about the
aqueducts,
Roman Empire on wheel.
there is an exciting aqueduct coming in the next release. And I say exciting, and I'm not being sarcastic.
It's on the concept right there.
It is. Yeah. There's a picture of it that you can't see, right?
A week.
You can take it down, show people.
But if you could, you would be wowed.
It's concept art.
Good thing it's a corkboard.
Probably in the art,
photos.
Oh my god. It's a witch.
Closer. A little bit more.
Enhance.
And it's
Enhance.
scale accurate as well.
Ignore the camel. There's no
I was about
camel.
to say, ignore the camel. Okay. This is like a really small, again, like feature suggestion. But I think it'd be a fairly popular one. Shrike was asking whether we could have more functionality when you're downed as a player. The ability to look around, or at least see the status of your recruit, because often, you're like, am I going to get revived?
Yeah, it's funny. While I really appreciate and get that people want things like massive aqueduct structures, I also recognize that there are shortcomings in the current experience, like the fact that when you're down, you're very frozen and paralyzed. And so a lot of the conversations we have is how do we make sure people are working on all those things here in the studio so that we're not feeling like we're only working in one lane and not looking at others. So yeah, I'd love to see more function there. We should look at that for the next update, actually, see if they get a free camera in there.
The one that's been talked about the most recently is like knowing if your your companion is alive or not. As super important information about whether or not you should or should not release. That came up in last week in one of the gameplay reviews. So maybe we can get that one fixed sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I also see Phylon's question. There has been a lot of editing about saying, how far have we gotten? I feel like 80% at least. It's pretty close, I think.
Yeah, like the next ones I think are like, so the last big balance that we did, as I'm sure you all know, was around like the resources, which rippled out and hit so many things. But I think the items have one more big one left on them. But I don't think we hit the resources again to the same scale. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I can always record some audio of like a really injured English person that we could do when people are down. Like, oh no, help me, please. Oh no, my shins. I stubbed my toe. Something like that.
Are there any plans to reduce some of the complexities that have been lost? What complexities have been lost?
Yeah, we've
like
been
in the original stats streamlining.
Like there was a couple of stats that got streamlined, and like in general, we've tried to keep the depth as much as we possibly can. The big thing that we've been trying to reduce is confusion and like obfuscation of some of the systems. But in general, we've tried to keep it as deep as we can. Like I would think the last stats upgrade actually, like, because we opened it up so any stat can go on anything. So like depending on your resources, like you can get much more targeted builds than you could in the past.
Yeah, like Kaz, what complexities? There's a lot of complexity has been lost. Like, I'm not sure what complexity has been lost. There's a lot of things that we think didn't make sense in the end, so we tried to get rid of those. But you can still the vast majority of the stats are still there. There's still the ability to craft those with resources and stuff. So maybe we'll chat on Discord or something and figure out what your things,
Yeah. Because the only stats that got removed, there was a couple that didn't really do anything, or at least not close to the level that we wanted them. And some of the resistance stats, because they never appeared at the same time, got consolidated. But yeah. He's off to go read about Samuel Pepys.
Yeah.
Bye, Neil. Yeah.
We're kind of at time now. So we could probably do a couple more questions. I'm sure everyone's got meetings to go to. Is there anything that we haven't covered that people would really like an answer to? And you can, everyone in the chat can sort of thumbs up, and we'll grab the most.
Phylon's got a good one there.
at the
We
most
did
performance.
have spiders that ran up walls at one point. We should double check what happened to that.
Yeah, so there's like a couple of ways that you could do that. Like nav links is the one that we'll probably have at some point, which is connecting to path networks that are not touching one another. Vertical nav mesh is a very hard problem to solve, but linking areas is something that we should be able to do. It's definitely like been talked about with our AI team as well.
It looks like there's
Ilya says an unreasonable demand for a licensed tabletop role-playing game.
that would be a lot of fun. We have some fans in the studio and people who make their own, so
Yep.
why not?
There's a lot of us that love tabletop games here.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be the RPGs are the biggest ones on the tabletop, but there's also some wargaming starting to pick back up. It's good times.
Yeah, sounds like
Okay, one. Oh, sorry, Leah. Stepping on you again.
the old items. We will be dealing with that in our next update. So
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll answer the next question. I'll ask the next question that comes up, and then we'll be done. So I usually end these. Let's see. Fast finger first. Flying creatures? Question mark.
Oh, flying creatures? Yes, but not soon. Like we can do hovering creatures and we can do like creatures transitioning around, but like for what you're asking, I believe, like for like true flight, we have had prototypes in the past. It has several implications that are just difficult to solve and they just not been at the top of the priority list. But yeah, like I would definitely like to have like flying creatures. Like we've got some really cool concepts of like apex creatures like that are flying that is just like, yeah, we're not building that until we can do flying because like it would like weaken the creature. Yeah. And certain creatures, like at some point, like if we get that tech, we'll probably retcon, like say harpies, but yeah, like we just don't have flying right now.
It's on the list with pigs with guns, as someone else
Pigs with guns.
mentioned in the chat. But yeah, it's still at the top there. Okay, we'll call that a Q&A. We'll say that's a done one. Thanks to Leah, Aaryn, and Bjorn, as always. Thanks to everyone who came and asked questions, and to everyone who asked questions before. What's that, sorry? I think I'm so loud, I just keep talking over you guys, and I can't hear you, and that's my bad. We'll have to set up mic levels next time. But I'll stick around as always afterwards for I can talk a little bit more, but we'll let the talented folks at the studio go off and make the game.
Okay. Thanks all.
thank you.
Thanks for being fans. Thanks for playing. Love you. Appreciate it.